Hello everyone, my name is Mille and welcome back to another Season Max video. The series where I go more in depth on the cars, split some facts, show the greatest details in AR, and most of all show what these cars are capable of once you get your hands on them. And also give a stage 5 of the Prestige car in case you don't have all stage 6 spots for it yet. For today I will be covering the Alfa Romeo 8C Spider, the Chevrolet Camaro Z28, both versions of the Weaver Customs Ford Model A, better known as Twisted Mistress, and the cherry on the top, the super unique Valkyria by the Ring Brothers. That thing is a piece of beauty. Timestamps for each car can be found down below, as I expect this to be a quite long video. Two disclaimers before I start: these times are mere benchmarks. If records already exist, I try to get as close as possible. If not, they are just there to be beaten once people get their hands on them. And second, I would like to thank Natural Motion for providing me these cars on my dummy account, making this content possible. Let's get into it. To kick things off, the milestone car of Season 108, the Alfa Romeo 8C Spider, also dubbed as one of the best sounding cars ever. As Jeremy Clarkson once said, sadly only 500 8Cs have been made and it's very unlikely you'll ever see one. But if one passes within 20 miles, trust me, you'll hear it. In the Top Gear episode on the 8C Competizione, there are plenty of funny remarks, and I highly suggest you go watch it after this video. Indeed, only 500 8C Competiziones have been made, but there are also 500 8C Spiders, which are essentially the same car with a chopped off roof. They both have the same 4.7 litre V8 from Maserati, producing 444 horsepower, with a top speed of the Spider bottoming out at 180 miles per hour or 290 kilometers per hour. The Spider concept was originally revealed at Pebble Beach in 2005 and came into production 4 years later. This is such a rare car with a timeless design, of which we still see some design aspects like the headlights in modern Alfa Romeos. At first, when the car came out when I was younger, I just thought it was ugly, but seeing it now and also seeing it in action on track, I can really say it was ahead of its time and it has matured on me. Yeah, it's not super stylized like many modern cars, but it has something different. Now onto some of the best bits for the car. For starters, when opening up the hood, we see the 8C Competizione badge on the bottom, showing that it's basically identically powered, with then the engine once more put out in crazy details. However, it's not such a practical car, as in reality it has quite a small trunk. In game we cannot open it, and the developers have confirmed to me that this is normal, because it's not in place yet, as due to the lockdown measures they were not able to take pictures of it. But it will come in the future, just like the RS6 and the DBX engines. On top of the trunk we see the cover of the two-layered electrically operated fabric roof, which you can see if you were to race in a rainy track. The season price version, the white one, has a special Bordeaux color which looks so nice. To maintain a perfect 50-50 ratio, the windshield frame is made out of carbon fiber, but sadly this cannot be seen in game. When going to the interior then, already when opening the door we can see the carbon fiber trim, with the middle console entirely being made out of carbon fiber, and yes, it includes an old CD player. There are two favorite bits on the car, and they're both related to the seats. First being the Alfa Romeo logo, which seems to be like stamped or coming out from the shoulder of the seats, on both passenger and driver's side. But the second thing are these rather stylish seat belt guides, which I thought were handles at first because on release pictures there were no seat belts. Based on the 8C Competizione, which is the coupe version, two other noteworthy one-off concept cars were created. The most popular one being the Alfa Romeo TZ3 Corsa, a one-off track version of the TZ3, of which the Stradale version, which is the one for on the streets, is not based on the 8C, but based on the Viper to my surprise. The other concept car is the Disco Volante by Touring, not the prettiest one, but surely a remarkable car and a nice tribute to the 1950s Disco Volante. As for performance in-game, it is the fastest Alfa Romeo, with dyno of a 10.5, but it can basically crush it, and it can definitely be improved, kind of like the RS6 Avant, tune and pattern. Onto the Camaro Z28, which is this season's prestige car, and it fits in perfectly with the American road trip theme. This is a car that has been in game for such a long time, and it was one of the first cars I ever pulled back in 2016. But the last time it was on a drop rate was way back almost 80 seasons ago, meaning it currently has a low ownership. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this car as the others to me are a tad more interesting. But this car got some significant visual upgrades with the latest update. It has now branded tires, the size has also changed slightly, and overall the stand seems to be more correct, leaning towards reality. This machine is powered by 7-litre LS7 V8, putting down 505 horsepower, and it's ready to race. And it's the same engine that can be found in the Z06, but this without a doubt looks a lot meaner with the big front splitter, the carbon vent in the hood, and the lip on the tire. And I never noticed this, but the tire actually sticks out from the car, despite already having a slightly wider fender. Despite being a race version, I have to be honest and say that the trunk is quite spacious, and there are even 2 rear seats, beating the 8C in terms of practicality. The last thing we can't forget to mention is the carbon fiber spoiler to add some downforce. As for performance in-game, it's not the fastest and it seriously deserves a buff, with the record standing now on a 12.186, and my best attempt going quite close. Tune and pattern. For the Stage 5 tune, not many words to use. It's again not the best car, with my best Stage 5 being a high 13.9 and not even beating the dyno. For the Prestige Cup itself, you will definitely need some Stage 6 parts, but you could have gotten them already from the first showdown, the Crew Cup which will start on the day after the Prestige Cup, and the one you can get on the Prestige Cup itself. Tune and best run. Onto the event cars, and first up I'll cover the Twisted Mistress. Both the milestone car and the leaderboard prize, which you guys will receive after the showdown ended, are basically identical, with the exception that the leaderboard prize is slightly faster and has a dope livery. But essentially all the facts and the details I'll be covering can be found on both. The Twisted Mistress is a hot rod based on a 1931 Model A, making it the second oldest car in the game, only 1 year younger than a Dirty 30. It was displayed at the 2018 SEMA Motor Show at the Preston booth and attracted many eyes, partially thanks to its artillery Detroit steel wheels, which sets the car apart, but mainly thanks to its 401 twin-turbocharged Bennett racing engine, which is completely detailed in the game, being any mechanics and car lovers' wet dream. When zooming in, you can even see they made the dent in the heat protector to give it that cloth look, as well as the welds that go all around it, and the various heat-treated pipes maze. It's honestly an engine you could just keep looking at and find new things all the time. Going towards the front, we can see the super detailed suspension, as well as how the pipes flow coming from the turbos to the radiator. I thought these were parts of the chassis at first, and then the exhaust on each side is also pretty cool. Going onto my favorite bits then, let's start from the overall stance of the car. Looking at it from the side, it looks like it's slightly broken, not giving entirely a V shape, but still not looking straight. When moving to the back, we have the leather straps, which hold the trunk down, and oh, I would have loved to see those open. But also the 1939 teardrop style rear lights. Next to these lights, we have something I don't think I've ever seen, an on and off switch for the battery pack on the outside of the car on the trunk. In such a vintage style, which is a pretty neat detail. Then trying to get in the car, you have to wonder how do you open up the doors. There is no handle. Pretty simple, you gotta find the right button, which is located on the front of the firewall on the right hand side of the car. How cool is that? Once you're in, you can see it's quite minimalistic and there's not much space to move around, though it seems to fit tall people apparently. Two more things I noticed about the car is that there are no rear view mirrors, not on the outside or on the inside, and that the headlights really give off that vintage vibe where you can see the stamps in them if you pay close attention. For the special version then, the Leaderboard prize, there are a few changes, and that is mainly the color. The livery is obviously different, but for example some of the engine components have been painted black. Both cars are pretty fast but have a needle drop. They also use both identical tunes, so I'll just show the tune for both and run them back to back. Despite having said a lot already, I can't just not cover the Valkyria, and to why this was the winner of last year's Battle of the Builders at SEMA. This fully carbon fiber Camaro is just a piece of modern beauty, with vintage styling, having some of its parts being CNC milled or even 3D printed. The overall design of this car is just too beautiful and so perfectly finished, and this build is completely out of this world. Also, the details have been translated perfectly to the game, making it a truly piece of art and a nice collector piece. And I'm here to show you some of the things you didn't even see yet despite owning it. Let's start at the front, shall we, with the Ring Brothers logo badge on the grille and the modern technology but vintage style headlights. When we open up the carbon fiber hood, an LS3 3.8 litre V8 is revealed with a Whipple supercharger, putting the horses up to 900. This thing is just a monster. One small fact about this car, on the motor show apparently it had a sticker on the window for how eco-friendly this is, and well, it has a 2.62 miles per gallon consumption. Think about that. Moving to the side then, we see the HRE performance wheels in front of the bare brakes, like the ones we had on the Quinten Brothers Camaro. Here is already one of my favorite parts of the car, being the Valkyria logo and the vent, fitting in perfectly to the shape of the body of the car, which I call perfection. Moving to the back then, we see the rear lights being covered by some type of mesh, giving it army vibes. And if we go down slightly, a quite special detail on the exhaust. The bracket which holds the Flowmaster stainless steel Super 44 series exhaust in place also has a text beneath it saying carbonated, which I think is pretty cool, although I have no idea what it exactly means, what its purpose is. On top of the trunk there are two fuel filler caps, one labeled pump and one labeled race. Whether there is a difference between the two or what they actually do, I have no idea, and since you open up the trunk, they seem to both flow in the same tank. While we are inside here, take a second to admire all this carbon fiber work and the man hours that went into creating this car. Look, just the trunk alone must have taken hours. The only thing left to talk about is the interior, and the thing I think no one has noticed yet is that it has an entire roll cage on the inside, including support for the roof, being reinforced by carbon fiber parts, which to me is super cool. There are many patterns and fabrics all over this car. It's just astonishing how far the level of detail went. There is even a black fire extinguisher, and look at how the seat belts are secured in place to the roll cage. When going more towards what the driver sees, we see a pretty neat middle console with some extra gauges and a nice stylish dashboard. But here comes my favorite part of the car, the steering wheel by HRE. Based on the design of the rims, HRE made a custom steering wheel. How cool is that? There are plenty of other details to look out for, like the side view mirrors, etc. So please, if you have AR, take your time to explore them, it's worth it. As for in-game performance, it's pretty fast with 7.0, but again, with a needle drop sadly. I haven't seen any faster times online yet, but I think it will manage to run a 7.01 range, tune and pattern. So that's all for today. It was another long but fun video to make, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Both custom cars are just insane, and the 8C is just a piece of art, like Jeremy would describe it. If you enjoyed the video, please do not hesitate to leave a like, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, my name is Miller, see you around, and keep racing.